Hi, today is April the 6th, and we are walking through the Bible, answering the questions, who am I? Who is God? And what the heck are we doing together? We're reading the one-year Bible, New Living Translation, and we are asking those questions and getting lots of answers. The passage that we're referring to today is Deuteronomy 29:1 through 30, verse 20, Luke 11:37 through 12:7, Psalm 78, 1 through 31, and Proverbs chapter 12, 19 through 20. And in the Old Testament, we are listening to Moses give the last lecture, the last preaching sermon, the last heart-to-heart talk to Israel, and he is telling them there are two choices. You follow God, you worship God, you make him your God, you accept his ways, and things will go well with you. But if you reject him and if you go your own way and you worship other gods, things will not go well. And they have proved over and over and over again, Israel did, that when things went well, they forgot why things were going well. God said, if you love me, you keep my commandments, I will prosper you. They got prosperous and they forgot. They totally forgot. They looked in the mirror and they said, oh, look at how wonderful we are. And we can do whatever we want to do. And then they would go downhill, and the evil, the enemy, everything would be going wrong for them because they turned their back on God. They did not love God any longer. They served other gods. They served other nations. And then they would cry out to God. Now, when they're in trouble, they cry out to God and they ask him to be their God once again. And he, in his long suffering, would come back and let them come back to him. And he would once again bless them and protect them and take care of them until they got to looking in the mirror and saying, oh, look at what we've done. And their pride got high. And one of the things that I'm learning more and more is that humility is the key. There are so many keys to the kingdom, but humility is the way through the narrow gate. So there are two sides of God, mercy and wrath. And I want to be on the mercy side. I don't know about you, but in Psalms 92:2, he said to declare your loving kindness in the morning and your faithfulness by night. So I'm going to declare his loving kindness in the morning and at night. Psalm 137 says, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his loving kindness is forever. That's in verse 1. Our God is loving, he's kind, and his loving kindness lasts forever, but we can walk away from it. So these are the terms of the covenant, Deuteronomy chapter 29. You've seen with your own eyes everything that the Lord did, and that tested you, for he is the Lord your God. And I'm just going to be skipping. I'm going to kind of like a rock going over the pond when you throw it and skip it, because there's so much. And please, I recommend reading it for yourself, whatever version you like to read. Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? If you are on God's side, God is victorious. If you are not on God's side, he's against you, ouch, that's not a good side to be on. So verse 9, therefore obey the terms of this covenant so that you will prosper in everything that you do. You're standing here, verse 12, today to enter into the covenant of the Lord your God. He says the Lord is making this covenant, including the curses. By entering into the covenant today, he will establish you as his people. You're his people if you enter into the covenant and follow his commandments, and confirm that he is your God, just as he promised you and as he swore to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They were established as his people. And there were generational promises that were kept on that day. I'm making a covenant with you. I'm making this covenant both with you who stand here today in the presence of the Lord our God, and also with the future generations who are not standing here today. And if we are in Jesus Christ, we are adopted into his family. We are in this generational covenant, not curse, but covenant. And if we are obeying the Lord or on the Lord's side, we have become children of Abraham, so to speak, because we got grafted in to the tree, to the root. And it says, no one among you, no man, woman, clan, or tribe will turn away from the Lord our God to worship these other gods of other nations, so that no root among you bears bitter and poisonous fruit. How, I think God has less patience with people who are actually seeing his great power and being in his presence. And those, there's so much. I wish I could read it all and comment on it all, but I'm trying to keep these videos short every day. And then the surrounding nations will ask, this is in verse 24, they'll ask, why has the Lord done this to this land when Israel turns away from the commandments and worships other gods, and the curses come upon the land? The nations say, why has the Lord done this to the land? Why was he so angry? And the answer will be, this happened because the people of the land abandoned the covenant that the Lord made them, the Lord, the God of their ancestors, made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. Instead, they turned away to serve and worship gods they had not known before, gods that were not from the Lord. And it says, what will happen? What will happen? What will happen when we turn away from God, turn away from Christ? But his goodness will lead us back to repentance if we allow it. If we allow it. And then the Lord, in 29, our God has secrets, none known to no one. We are not accountable for his secrets. We are not accountable for things that he hasn't revealed to us. But we and our children are accountable forever for all that he has revealed to us, so that we may obey all the terms of these instructions. There were things that God hadn't revealed to Israel at this time, that he's revealed much more to us. Paul talks about the mysteries of God and how he's allowed us to know his mysterious ways. But not all of them. Not all of them. Some of them are kept only for him to know. And we're accountable. We are accountable to what we know. And even after, Israel sins greatly and they're taken and exiled to other nations, Moses said, in the future, when you experience all these blessings and curses I have listed for you, and when you are living among the nations to which the Lord your God has exiled you, take to heart all these instructions. If at that time you and your children return to the Lord your God, and if you obey with all your heart and all your soul all the commands I have given to you today, then, there's an if you, then your God will restore your fortunes. He will have mercy on you and gather you back from all the nations where he has scattered you. God is merciful. Our God is merciful. He wants to be with us. He wants us to be with him. And the Lord your God, verse 6, and this is the next chapter, your God will change your heart and the hearts of all your descendants, so that you will love him with all your heart and soul, and so you may live. The Lord your God will inflict all these curses on your enemies and on those who hate and persecute you. Then you will again obey the Lord and keep all his commands that I am giving to you today. So be on his side, he blesses you. If you are, well, I say if you, but the enemies who are against God and against you, he has a way to take care of them. He inflicts all those curses. And then verse 9, the Lord your God will then make you successful in everything you do. God will delight in you if you obey his voice and keep the commands and decrees written in this book of instruction, and if you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and soul. This command I am giving to you today is not too difficult for you to understand, and it is not beyond your reach. If God tells us to do it, he's given us the power and the authority to do it. And then in verse 14, no, the message or the word is very close at hand. It is on your lips and in your heart so that you can obey it. Now listen. Listen is the first step for obedience. Listen, today I am giving you a choice between life and death, between prosperity and disaster. For I command you this day to love the Lord your God and to keep his commands, decrees, and regulations by walking in his ways. If you do this, you will live and multiply, and the Lord your God will bless you and the land you are about to enter and occupy. But if your heart turns away and you refuse to listen, and if you are drawn away to serve and worship other gods, then I warn you now that you will certainly be destroyed. You will not live a long, good life in the land you are crossing the Jordan to occupy. Today, I have given you the choice between life and death. And the New Testament says today is the day of salvation. I declare today that your eyes will see, your ears will hear, your heart will understand, and that you will make the right choice for yourself. There's so many times we make good choices for ourselves and then things go well and we forget to keep doing the things that we did to make us well and to keep us well. But then when things get difficult, we go back to the original ways. So I want to encourage you to follow God's ways. There is a choice. Now, a lot of people think the Old Testament's all about the wrath of God and the New Testament's all about God and Jesus' love and grace and mercy. And it does focus a lot more on it because of Jesus. But in verse 37, chapter 11 of Luke, Jesus is sitting with the Pharisees and he is insulting them. He is offending them. And he's saying, he's telling them, he's really being rude. He's calling them fools. And he's telling them the inside of their hearts are filthy, like like worse than the outside. So clean the inside by giving gifts to the poor. What sorrow awaits you, for you're careful to tithe a little bit, but you neglect the bigger things of the law. And then the religious laws, the teachers of religious law, they are sitting there and like, Jesus, you're insulting us too. And Jesus is like, yep, and let me add some more to it. So he tells them all about what they're doing. You're going to have sorrow, you experts in the religious law, for you remove the key to knowledge from the people. You don't enter the kingdom yourselves, and you prevent others from entering. So I have a key. I usually wear the key, and I have this, I'm a diamond, I'm a treasure inside. Sometimes it's locked up and there are keys. There's a key and it stands for all kinds of things. But the key is humility, the key is knowledge, the key is faith, the key is discipline to unlock that gift that's inside of you. And Jesus is saying, you lock up the key. You don't let anybody have the key, and you don't have the key to the kingdom. And then he warns his disciples about the yeast of the Pharisees. And then he says, dear friends, don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot do any more to you after that. But I tell you whom to fear. Fear God, who has the power to kill you and then throw you into hell or hellfire. And then he said, yes, he is the one to fear. So fear God, and then the other fear won't matter, because the one to fear really is God, who can give you the kingdom or take it away. So I want you to share these videos to have and to so that God's word may be heard. And I want you to have an absolutely amazing day. We'll see you tomorrow.